Board of Commissioners Caucus meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing as we have a moment of silence for Joan Morrison. Thank you. Thank you. I have some additional comments regarding Joan at next week's meeting. Mr. Needles, would you do roll call, please?
Sure. Commissioner Baca?
Here.
Commissioner Godioso?
Here.
Commissioner Whitaker?
Here.
Commissioner Rakowski?
Here.
Michael Karate?
Here.
Michael Sioko?
Here.
And myself, George Needles, present.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to address the board with any questions or concerns? Please come to the podium, give us your name, address, and phone number for record. Thank you.
Joel Winters, 850 Cherry Tree Road. Phone number 610-470-0292. That's my cell number. I have just a couple of questions. I need some information if you could help me with. Sunday during church, there's a lot of banging going on in the neighborhood. I'm not sure what it was, but almost half an hour. It's kind of disruptive for our services. It sounded like the dumpsters being emptied into a truck is what it sounded like.
And it's exactly what I think it was.
Okay.
I already discussed with George. I think it was, we have an idea where it was coming from because it came from there before.
That's a violation, right?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to give you a call and it just time.
You should have.
So I was asking other people if they had heard it. And I didn't get any good information where it's coming from.
It's funny. I was asked George. We were just talking about it before the meeting.
Okay, appreciate that. Second thing on the dispensary for medical CBD. I don't know where that is in the process, but I would just like to issue a little bit of encouragement to study that one out a little bit. I know that it's supposed to be, people are supposed to have a medical card to be able to go in and get their, but from what I understand, it's pretty easy to get a medical card without a whole lot of trouble. So I think it just needs to be kept under pretty good observation if you go forward with that. That's the only thing I want to say.
All right, thank you. All right. So moving on to our professionals report, our engineers report, Mr. Sioka.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Trust you have a copy of my report. Let's go through a couple of highlights real quick. 2024 road program update. That was approved at the last meeting. We sent out the notice of award letter to AF Damon, and I talked with them today. They're working on getting the bonds and everything together. So I hope to have that before the next meeting so the commissioners could sign that next week. Kingsman Park project update. That is going in the paper, I believe, on Tuesday. We'll be opening bids August 28th, and then the board will be looking at those bids for consideration at their September meeting. 2409 West Colonial update. The house, that's the demolition within the floodplain with the grant money. We have the house was torn down basically on Monday. They have some miscellaneous items still to clean up on the site. They'll be working on that through the rest of the week. Next item would be the Namus Creek Stream Bank restoration. We have a grant for that, and we're preparing. We want authorization to prepare the plans and specifications to put that together and to advertise as well. And so we're hoping to get that together for bidding, and then also have you look at that in the September meeting. So we'll be asking for that in your next meeting for authorization to bid. to prepare plans and specs. 464 Conchester Highway, that's the Dunkin' Donuts. They're looking for project closeout. I had talked to them. They're missing some paperwork, but they said that they had mailed it. I asked for them to email me copies today, and they assured me they would be sending it by the end of the day. I had just looked. I saw something came through, but I wasn't able to download the image on it. So I'm anticipating that at the next meeting, we'll have a recommendation for either final release of the escrow and start of the maintenance bond. They did provide a copy of the maintenance bond to me by email. I did see that. So at your next meeting, we'll be, like I said, offering a letter of recommendation for that. Most of the site work, I believe all the site work is done. They had done some minor repairs to some of the grass and planted some additional grass seed several months ago. I believe that's in now. So I think they'll be in good shape as long as all their paperwork that they submit is in order. And I'll submit that over to you also, Mike, so you to make sure that their maintenance bond looks like in order. But yeah, but it appears to be from initial glance, but I usually like to send it to the solicitor. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for the engineer, please?
Yes, I have two. Items number 1 and 2, the 2024 road program.
Yes.
Or I just want clarity if the board is willing to move forward and pave Chai and Larkin's Corner with the road program, or are we going to wait for the development with the warehouse across the street? I believe they're supposed to be doing some improvements to the intersection. So I don't know what the best course of action is. It needs to be repaired, and if we can do it sooner, better. I just like to have a little dialogue about what's the best option to take.
Part of the road program, ain't it?
It is, but one of the items that is within that development is that they're going to pave that same portion of Chelsea that's in our road program. They had mentioned that they were going to start doing some of the PennDOT work. Last week, I believe they had first mentioned it, that the contractor over at the old goat farm. And we had followed up to see what exactly they were doing. The person I was talking to wasn't as familiar with it. They were supposed to get back to me, and I haven't heard back yet. So I'd like to follow up. And George, I don't know if you heard anything more.
No, just the same. So, when that was milled, we were still waiting final contracts and everything for this development project. So all along that was in the project because the intersection improvements that are going to be done there. However, at that time, we had been sitting on a project that hadn't started for like, a year and a half after approvals.
Yep.
So I think it's kind of a race at this point of who would get it done first. Obviously, it's something we should think about getting done, but if they're going to be very close to us, we could allocate that money to another section of that road and kind of do more. But, I do agree that we need to do something.
So if we could, I know Mike had mentioned, I should say Commissioner Gaudioso had mentioned doing that first. But if we could follow up and then get a timeline, because we could put that at the end of the road program.
Right.
And then if they're close, then have them do it.
Right.
And then we can use those funds to do a different section as opposed to doing it first. Now, if it's like, if they're nowhere near getting it done and
That's
we
what I
want to
was-
do something with it because it is, people are, it's bad. Yeah. So I would just proceed that way. Let's get a timeline, see if we can get some more information from them. If they're going to do it quick, then we can put it at the end and let them do it.
Sure. I'll follow up with them.
Okay.
The only question I have with that project itself, when the developer does it, are they going to, the issue we have underneath, are they doing that part or are they just putting a Band-Aid on it and we're just putting a Band-Aid on it? Because we had an issue up by 322 that they said the base was underwashing and we had to fix it before we paved it. So we're going to put a Band-Aid on something that's going to have to be done. Are they doing it correctly or are they?
Is that being corrected when 322 is done?
Is that what we're waiting for?
Yeah. So yes.
Okay.
So all of that gets corrected when 322 is done. However, on the front half, we have had to do that. When we had this section milled, they indicated that the base was in good repair. So this is, I don't know if it's just that front section was done incorrectly or what.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we usually look at it when we go out for paving, and we have it in the contract. We have a certain amount of base repair in the contract in the road program, so that once they mill the road, we look at it and say, these sections are bad, cut these out, do these base repairs, and then it's added in, and we tally all up at the end. But yeah, we have an allocation for a certain amount of base repair for the whole road program. And then same thing whenever a contractor is doing paving in the town for a project, we go out and inspect it and make sure, hey, this needs base repair or whatnot. So we would make them do that. So depending, like you said, who gets there first, and what we can do to get them there first. That'll just be depending on who does the work, but we'll be out there to make sure it gets done right.
I guess the point I just want to stress, something needs to be done.
It needs to get done. Yeah,
I agree.
So, and then item number 2, Kingsman Park project.
Yes.
The update. Do we have enough funding for the project, or do we need to allocate more funding towards it?
We're
question.
Yeah.
So we anticipate that that when we go out for bids, the bids will be higher than what we initially anticipated for the project. We initially put together $200,000 from DCNR, $250,000 from Delaware County, $100,000 from Energy Transfer, and the board had committed in the first application about $180,000, which gets us to 4, 5, 6, a little over about $720,000. We do anticipate that it's probably going to come in over $1 million. Those were costs now almost 3 or 4 years ago. However, we did get a substantial amount of money in for fee in lieu for recreation. So we have about $260,000 in fee in lieu of recreation money that can be utilized towards this project. And then if anything is higher than that, we're going to ask the board to evaluate it. What we did do was we moved a bunch of stuff into alternates so that we can look at it and you guys can say, is this something we feel that we need to do or not need to do? My recommendation would be that at this point, at least, that our reserve funds have been doing very well in Pliget, and we've been earning quite a bit of interest for it. And this is a showcase project for us. We're taking a underutilized neighborhood park and turning it into a regional destination. I think it would be a shame to really kind of cut this project out for the sake of cutting it out. We have the funding available to do it. It can be a really good project for this community.
Would some of that fee in lieu money be from the farm project?
Yep.
Right. Because I was going to push for that to go somewhere else, but we need it there. We need it there.
Yeah, I'm hoping the board will support this project. It's been something that's been talked about for several years now, and I'm just hoping that there's support there. So that's all I have on the engineer's report. So sorry for taking up time.
Thank
But
you.
I'll make a comment on that. I do agree with George on that. If we're that close with the money and you're shy 100,000, I'm just saying, hypothetically, whatever it is, you need to finish it. And I'll put it on hold. So, but Mike, I do have a question. I would like to meet with the residents, Mike Sioko.
Yep.
The Second Avenue residents
Yep.
on the easements, they're done.
Yep.
Can you bring all the set of plans?
Sure.
We want to be a little transparent with them.
sure.
So we could get this moving because Putt wants to order the
Yeah.
equipment and start in the early fall.
Yeah, I talked to Putt yesterday about that exact thing. So I think it was yesterday.
Can you meet next
so we'll-
Thursday at 6?
No.
Make it be 6:30, don't have to be 6.
Well, that's before the meeting, right?
Yes,
Yeah, sure.
6 o'clock's good.
Thursday, right at Second Avenue at the cul-de-sac.
No, we're going to meet up here.
Oh, here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Be a lot easier.
Can you bring the plan for going up?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to our solicitor's report. Mr. Karati.
Great. The first item is the update or amendment authorization for the update or amendment to our transient retail. Hear me now. Transient retail ordinance, otherwise known as the door-to-door salesman that come around. Believe it or not, there are a lot of constitutional federal court cases about them having certain constitutional rights to go door-to-door. And our current hour limits on them run afoul of those court cases. So they sent us a threat letter earlier this year. What we've done is, both here and elsewhere, we've looked at both that to make sure that we can revise our ordinance to comply with it. But in doing so, we want to kind of augment our protections for residents. So the draft ordinance puts in the hour limits that are compliant with the federal law, but it would also create a do not solicit registration. Think of it like a don't call list, where the residents can sign up with the township that they don't want people to come on their property. And when the door-to-door salesmen come in to get their permit, they get that list and they can't go to those residents. If they do, there's additional penalties that come upon. And that's in addition to if someone's got a do not, no solicitation sign on their property, keeping them off as well. Next, authorization to consider amendment to the open burning regulations. So our current open burning regulations are a bit dated, and frankly, we've got a little bit of an interpretation issue in that among all other things that aren't addressed or defined in them is open burning. So we want to work with staff to prepare an ordinance to address that, to take care of cleaning that up, making it what we want it as a township, and then getting that in place.
Can we wait till the end? Can we wait till the end to take questions?
Sure.
Thank you.
Let me forget about it.
Next, Franklin Biosciences. This is the Beyond Hello or the Jushi application from last month. We have a draft resolution for your consideration. It would be understanding all the comments from the audience and the public and the concerns about the use itself. We are a little bit constrained in terms of how we have to process and regulate these things given how state law is structured. But we can impose conditions. And so what we would put before you for consideration would be an approval of it, but subject to a number of conditions. And I laid that out in the draft resolution to contain them, to make sure that they're going to be compliant with both the state law as well as the testimony that they presented last month in terms of what their proposed use is and how they'll operate it, and the screening and buffering, among other things, that they would put in place for the neighbors. Conditions also address the need to satisfy the parking requirements to the township engineer's satisfaction, and or provide that reserved parking area, as well as any other open items in the Mike Caucus review letter from last month. Next, for 4, 5, and 6, we have extension requests for different land developments and subdivisions that are coming in for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. And we'll take questions. Commissioner Rakowski.
Thank you. On the amending the burning, open burning, do we have anything in there? I know we don't have nothing in there to find the people now, but are we going to make it too hard, or is it going to be restricted on residents on just a backyard pit, or is it more or less what they could burn because of the area? We could fine them for that.
Yeah. So what we currently have doesn't address what they can burn.
Right.
I think what we're envisioning is making sure that we're defining what is open burning.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a contained fire pit, does that constitute open burning or not? And then we would address as part of all this what the fines and violation.
Because I've heard a few other towns have that with not to burn, and a lot of it's a construction material.
Yeah.
I mean, some people say it's a fire pit, it's blazing pretty high, but it's all construction material. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah. From a staff perspective, one of the things that we run into is that we don't have a definition for a recreational fire or recreational fire pit in our ordinance. So the calls come in for the open burning regulation, and the interpretation that we have of open burning is different than the interpretation of individuals walking by, seeing an open flame, considering it open burning. I mean, theoretically, we guess that at this point you could consider a barbecue grill open burning if you read our ordinance, right? Because it's an open flame, it's burning, you know. So there's definitely a lot of room for interpretation. I'm confident Mike can help us straighten it all out.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is defining what a recreational fire pit is, because a lot of our residents use it and neighbors get upset because it becomes more of a neighbor dispute versus what our actual ordinance says. So I think we're moving in the right direction.
I have a couple of questions. The transient retail merchants. I haven't read the draft yet, but just looking at it briefly, this specifically relates to people selling something,
Yep.
right? Not campaigning.
Correct.
Okay.
They're exempt.
Okay. All right. That's one. I wanted to clarify that. And then the drafts for Juicy. Are we the conditions? I know one of the things that was mentioned was that if in fact the state of Pennsylvania marijuana becomes legalized within the state, that they would need to come back to the board to express if they decided to say, hey, we want to be able to sell marijuana. Recreational marijuana. Thank you.
Right. This
Right.
draft clarifies that this is not an approval of recreational marijuana facility, so that if the state law does change, this approval does not go along with it. They would have to come back before us to get that.
Okay. So that's something that is already known. We don't have to put that in here that they would have. We don't have to specify that they would have. I know it says that this is not.
I think it's
I'm
already
sorry.
covered in here.
That
Yep.
covers it. Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you. My next question is regarding the Ogden Schoolhouse. I'd like an update, and maybe this is for George. I'm not sure how up to speed you are on this, but the Ogden Schoolhouse, where are we at with that agreement?
So Mike was working on an updated lease based off of the information we provided him, and we're going to float that over to the school district and start the process from there.
Start
Yep.
again. Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions for the solicitor?
Just one about the draft of resolution. I know there was talk about a tree that needed to be addressed, and I think I wrote that in my notes, and I made that a public comment also. I don't know if that can be a part of the condition, but or something that we can work in the back end. But I know that was a concern with one of the residents. I think there was a tree that needed to be trimmed or addressed or taken down. I forget exactly what it was, but that's the only thing that I saw missing here.
So I would say,
So
what
what I-
about
what
the
I tried
second
to-
bullet point?
Yeah, what I tried to cover with that is for the first bullet point, that they have to comply with the testimony of record, what they agreed to of record.
Okay.
I didn't want to quite put that specifically as a condition because it was a little bit gray and amorphous in terms of what she was asking and how she addressed it. But we do put in here that they have to address the screening buffer
Okay.
with the neighbors.
And that will cover I think a part of the property is on someone else's property,
Correct.
right?
Yeah,
So it's a lot of little nuances
Yeah,
that came up,
They agreed to straighten that
To
out.
pull that back.
right, to pull it back, yeah,
And to repair and replace the fencing.
the fencing, right? Right, okay, thank you. We'll move on to our manager's report, Mr. Needles.
Good evening, everybody. We have some trash refunds coming up for this month. Trash refunds are coming in strong still. We advertised this for the first time with the taxes this year, so we'll get a lot of people on board for that. Public Works Department have asked for us to approve the hiring of Hunter Hickman to a full-time laborer position. Hunter joined us this summer as summer help and is working out very well. He has previous experience with road construction and highway work. We've gotten requests from the Pennsylvania Municipal League and the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Commissioners to designate a legislative liaison for the township. My understanding will be that this will be a person that they will contact directly anytime they are looking to get support behind any type of legislation that each organization is lobbying for or against. In addition to that, the Pennsylvania Municipal League Municipal Summit is coming up in October. We will need to appoint a delegate I believe Nicole is the only person going for the township this year. So I guess we'll have to point her as the delegate and the alternate delegate. Next item you have is a proposal from the police department for some drone program. You may remember a couple years ago, we started to purchase drones and we had multiple police officers get their pilot's license and did all the work with the Federal Aviation Administration to be able to fly the drones. The technology there has advanced pretty rapidly, and the first drones that we've purchased are beyond usable life and aren't serviced anymore by technological updates. So they are looking to purchase new drones to replace them, as well as to further explore this idea, which is drones as first responders. So essentially, with this program, the company that they'd be working with gets them further clearances to be able to fly the drones remotely. So now when if something happens, the officer has to show up with the drone on the site and put the drone up and has to have eyes on the drone at all times. This would allow them to have a different license, which would allow them to fly the drones from more remote places. You're starting to see this more and more common in things like policing, as well as like emergency services, 911 calls. Depending on what the call is, the call triggers the drone to be sent to a specific area to put eyes on the situation prior to the officer getting there, or the EMT getting there, or something, to be able to kind of triage what's the situation going on. So I'd like you to look at that and provide feedback on that. As well, we are in need of part-time police officers. So the department is asking that we proceed forward with administering a civil service test for patrol officers in the next couple months. And then it is everybody's favorite season, budget season. We typically use the last Monday of each month as our budget meetings. That would take us August, September, and October. And I have a proposed schedule in there with the advertisement. So if you could just take a look through that, let me know if you have any conflicts with those days, if that'll work. We'll go ahead and get that advertised. Other than that, Commissioner Neary is not here tonight. The financial reports, the list of bills is in here. The financial reports will be together by the next meeting. We're still getting bank statements in effective this afternoon. Trash refunds we went over. Police is 2 items. And then everybody just please remember that Tuesday night is National Night Out. I see Ed is sporting his National Night Out shirt. It's going to be a fun event down at the middle school starting at 5 o'clock. And for anyone that is interested, I'm typically not a big draw of these things, but I will be in the dunk tank. So if you're harboring any ill will against me, it'll cost you a couple bucks to take a couple shots. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Needles?
A couple. Your budget meeting. When's the organizations? The very first one?
Yes.
Is there a certain?
We've asked all the organizations to go that we give allotments to go ahead and send in what their request is, and if they're requesting more than previously, to come in for a presentation on that August meeting.
The August meeting.
Yep.
Okay.
So that'll be August 26th.
Yep.
It's the first meeting. Okay.
You guys done? The Public Works employee, we're going to vote on that next week and start him right after that?
Yeah, we'll put the effective day, the first day of the next payroll.
Okay.
The drone program.
Yes.
What are we doing with the other drones? If the current drones that we have are outdated, where are they going? What's going to happen with those?
So we'll deconstruct anything that's like police, and we can put them up for sale.
Okay.
We'll probably ask to sell them on municipal bid later this year.
Okay.
Piggyback on that. Was it saying a drone proposal? Is the proposal a program, or is it to purchase one? Now, I know it's in our packet, but George was saying it was a program, but then at the same time, we're buying another drone.
Yeah, so we need to
Right.
replace the drones. So when we
Right.
went out to look for replacing the drones, we also explored the possibility of expanding that program. So this will be replacing those drones in this new program that will help us get these further credentials through the Federal Aviation.
Okay.
And so how many are we going to be replacing?
I believe we replaced 2 immediately is what we're looking to replace.
Okay, so 2 now, and then if we get up and going, we may need to purchase additional. Are there any grant programs for this with the for as like first responders?
There is, Ray's pretty good at looking at kind of how we can parcel some money together. What I think he was looking at was he's got a couple other things that he put some money towards to be able to kind of use the cash for this. Right now.
Gotcha. Okay.
But, I know that he always has eyes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and sorry, one more thing. We did get awarded another Green Light Go grant. So we got the Green Light Go grant for the intersection of Bethel Thornton.
I saw that.
So, and that's $288,000 towards that project. Bethel Chai Thornton, that intersection. I guess.
Okay.
Okay, moving right along to commissioner reports, Commissioner Rakowski.
Thank you, Madam President. It's early in the month right now. It's August 1st, so some of the reports will not be available. The only report that is available is emergency management report. It was a quiet month, except for the other night the other day they had an evacuation set up at the firehouse for a few hours. Everything went well with that, and other than that, Nicole, myself, and George did meet with the fire department last Thursday night with some progress. We're trying to get some information on both sides together. There is a date for the Orphans Court, August 14th. Hopefully the stamp will be approved to be one fire department on August 14th. It makes it a little easier for us to be able to proceed on getting what they need done and what we need to get done to move forward with the library and then into the other firehouse. So other than that, that's it. Any questions?
Any questions for Commissioner Rakowski? All right, Commissioner Neary's not here. George, do you have anything to report for Commissioner Neary? No. Okay, Commissioner Gaudiosa.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone again. As our solicitor mentioned earlier tonight, we have 3 extensions, one for 4881 Chichester Avenue, the other for 900 Township Line Road, and the third is for 3033 Market Street. 900 Township Line Road, which is the Vazano project. I just like to mention that I believe they are scheduled to come before the Board of Commissioners in October for a presentation. I will keep you posted and updated with that. 2351 Booker Avenue. It's a subdivision project. It's been on hold for a while. My understanding is that we need input and feedback from Damon Engineering. I can only speculate, and this is just speculation, that maybe the applicant is looking for funding to work with the engineer. 801 Bethel Avenue, another land development. Just got some reports that there's a lot of dumping on the property, so that needs to be addressed. 4128 Chichester Avenue, that's Jay Will's project. We are waiting on plans for that. And then lastly, we have a zoning hearing board meeting August 6th, next Tuesday. It's for the erection of a cell tower. I mentioned it last month at our meeting. I didn't see any reason to oppose this. It is next Tuesday, so I will keep you posted on the outcome for that. Also, I have one more item. It's not on my agenda. If I have to bring it on new business, I will, but it's in regards to 2026 Meeting House Road. So if I can speak better now.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2026 Meeting House Road, it's an abandoned property. It's been an abandoned property for quite some time now. I'd like to make a request to the board to get an update inspection on the property to see if the property is beyond repair. And if it is, to maybe have a potential for it to be demoed. It's been like this for close to 8 years now, I think.
You said 226.
Yeah, 226 Meeting House
Okay.
Road. So if that's okay with the board to get a updated inspection report, I would like to have Bill move on.
Is that the one
What
that's
property is that?
questionably historic?
The historical one?
Yeah, I would encourage you guys to go out and look at it and
It's
to
in my
see.
ward. I've
Yeah.
seen it. I've been on the
So
property.
I don't know exactly what historical,
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know what exactly historical
I just know that's
manner
been the
it
argument.
is. I know, but I would encourage you guys
Yeah.
to go look at it. It's in disarray.
I know the highway
The
guys.
neighbor next door, has been very, very
Very
patient with the
patient.
whole thing.
Mhm.
George, are we
So
still
I
paying
just-
for us?
Time out. I just want to know from the board if it's okay to get a updated inspection.
So the purpose of an updated inspection is to do what?
Is to see if the property is beyond repair.
Okay. George, do you have any comments regarding this? Because it's in my ward.
I would say.
We've talked about it
I think,
several times.
This is an ongoing legal matter that I don't necessarily you should be talking about in a public meeting.
That's what,
Okay, all righty.
All right.
That's it, in your report?
That's it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, Commissioner Bacco?
yeah, so I'll have all my reports for next week. I just wanted to discuss something quick with the board. Certain holidays, we run into an issue with the trash and the recycling. So I met with Putt and Jean Marie, and one of the things they asked, if, like certain holidays, if they could come in and do the trash or the recycling, and the guys just get a day off for it, not at overtime rate, nothing, just give them a personal day to replace that day, where we could sometimes cover these ones that are like a major problem. And it would, when we bring guys in to work them, it would only be enough to run the trucks. Like the whole department's off that day, highway and sanitation, 20-some guys. It would only be, how many trucks we would use, 4 or 6 people. And the way it's already set up, and they understand and agree, is if it was to happen, like there's only 4 guys allowed off in a single day. So like if 6 guys came in and worked, or 4 guys, they all wouldn't get the same day off. You know what I mean? I think it would help with some of these days where we get complaints, you know what I mean?
So do you think that the difference now as opposed to the schedule that we had before is because we would push the days back, and this time we are literally like canceling people's pickups?
Yes, and so what happens sometimes is it's too long a gap in between they would get their pickup again.
Pickup, right.
So it wouldn't be every holiday, it would be certain ones that cause an issue.
That was my next question.
Okay,
How
so I think that
how
we
many
need to
holidays
identify.
would it be?
Well, some of the holidays don't always fall on a Monday, some don't
Some
always,
do.
like, I know
Is that, a-
Juneteenth, 4th of, some of them fall on different days.
Juneteenth, 4th of July,
Yeah,
and
is that a
Veterans
contract?
Day.
Veterans, yeah. Like,
Does that have to be put into the contract or amended to the contract? Since they
if it
have a
has to,
contract?
we can, but it was
Mike?
something we,
It would need to be
it
in
would
the
just be a
contract.
quick amendment. It wouldn't be.
So
Go ahead,
I'll-
So
George.
go ahead,
I'll
George.
send the contract, the Teamsters contract over to Mike's office for them to review to see if this is something we can unilaterally
do.
do without amending the contract, or if we'd have to amend the contract.
Did
Yeah.
they get overtime pay?
No, they just get a different day off.
Yeah.
Whoever would come in.
The other question is, how are you going to base it? Everything else is by seniority. So what happens if, are they going to
They
be
would
forced
probably
to
have to
come
go-
in? Or are they going to be forced to come in because they're on the bottom of the list? And because the other senior guys don't want to come in?
You're gonna have to
That's,
define it and then.
Right.
take it to the city. What I also have to understand is that I know that Bud has talked about the concerns with this. I don't know if the employees
Right.
have concerns with it.
Right.
So I don't know if it's us asking
But-
them for something or them asking.
Right, we're going to work all that.
And
We
that was
just-
gonna be my next question.
We-
Who's asking for it?
Would we even consider it is what I'm at right now?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but
Right.
I think that it needs to be the
Oh,
employees.
yeah, we got to
asking
work them
because
little
We can't
things
make
out.
people come into work.
Exactly, but
Is it, I think to Nicole's point, is this something that the highway department is requesting, or is this
I think Putt and the guys have talked about it a little bit, and he said he'd run it by me to run by you guys.
Okay.
That's where we're at. I mean, sometimes it just, there's a gap where it's too long and we get complaints, and a couple of them here and there, a couple of times a year, we could do something like this to resolve the problem.
Okay.
All right, so you'll look into that stuff, working with Mike. All right, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Commissioner Baco? I'll finish up with my report. I'll give my reports or events calendar. We met with the planning department. When I say planning, recreation planning, myself, Brian, Aisha, and Ray, we met to go over the events that are coming up, as like National Night Out and Community Day, as well as looking at the events that are later this year. I mentioned previously that we're trying to create an annual recreation calendar, and that includes, and I shouldn't say recreation, I'll say township calendar that includes all of our events, whether it's police, whether it's library, whether it's parks and recreation. We want to have a master schedule. And for our premier events, we want to make sure that they're annual events and people know and can expect those, and they look forward to those each year. So we're still, we have a great calendar this year, and we're going to be building on that going forward. So I'll share that next week, and then anything else that comes up between now and then. I do want to just take a couple minutes to talk about Joan Morrison. I did receive some text messages with screenshots of comments that were on Facebook. And for those that don't know, Joan Morrison was here for 20 plus years. She retired in 2018 as a director of Parks and Recreation. She passed away last week. Tomorrow will be actually a week. And so there was a lot of talk. Joan is well loved, you know. So there's a lot of talk on social media about the township not recognizing her or doing anything for her. So I just want folks to know that the township is in the process of doing something for Joan, and she will be recognized by the township. Just give us some time. It literally, hasn't been a week yet. And I think it was, shocking for most of us to learn that she was sick, and then she literally, passed away rather quickly. So it is very heartbreaking. And so the board, you don't need to do petitions. There's no need to do petitions. We are actually going to, we know Joan's importance and her value to the community. So we will be working on doing something for her. So no need to go out and get petitions. We will address that. And so I'll have more to say next week about that. Yeah, and that's it. Anyone else have any comments or anything?
No, I think you said everything well, Commissioner Whitaker. She was a very loved individual. We found out on Friday that she had passed away. Her funeral was on Tuesday, and it was very limited time, for the township to make any type of reaction. But we are planning on doing something to honor her memory.
All right. If there's nothing further, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.